Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about soundtracks for a moment. We all know what soundtracks are and what their purpose is, but I can't help but feel that sometimes they're really underappreciated. I can't count the number of times I've left the cinema with my friends and said, man, that was a really good soundtrack, just to have them go, eh. Or sometimes they comment on how awesome a soundtrack is and I'm just like, really? It was just the Inception noise over and over again. It's actually really distracting. It's really distracting and sometimes you have to talk. Oh God! There are so many people in the world who completely dismiss the soundtrack of a movie or for a TV show without really thinking about how important it is and how much thought and labor can go into them, and they just write it off as just another song. Seriously, I'm sure that part of the reason you even give a damn about what I'm saying right now is because of the music I'm playing. Yeah, not that interesting now, is it? But filling the audible void is only one thing a soundtrack can do. There's a whole plethora of things that soundtracks can do, like make you feel the emotions you're supposed to feel during a scene, as music tends to do in general. There's only so much that can be shown visually. Be it the acting or the cinematography, visuals are only a part of the bigger whole that is communication. So the music is there to make you feel scared and intimidated, even when there's nothing particularly that scary or intimidating on the screen. It allows you to be able to feel what the characters feel and sympathize with their situation. And composers have to keep this stuff in mind when composing, otherwise it'll just sound off and out of place. For instance, this. And this. Would be a hell of a lot different like this. Musicality aside, it's also important to give credit to how much work goes into the use of the soundtrack. Composers have to keep in mind all the little nuances that can happen during a scene or a performance, so they have to know exactly when to do what during a scene and find their place among the dialogue and explosions and other big ol' sound effects. Horror movies are a really great example of this. The music starts building up. There's tension. What's behind the door? It starts getting more and more intense. The music starts building up. It's getting louder. There's more tension and then jump scare! Or the composer can do something even more drastic to drive a point home. Not compose anything at all. Just leave the scene completely quiet. This alone can express an incredible amount of emotions. Awkwardness, boredom, tension, or even better, not express anything at all. Just let the gravity of the situation in the scene settle in on its own. Now, the way you can really tell a composer had a lot of fun composing these tracks is when you do a little bit of digging and you realize how smart they were with its writing. For instance, in the web series RWBY, there's a track titled Red Like Roses Part 2. The scene it's used in shows the main characters going up and defeating a giant monster. However, the lyrics could not contrast the scene more. The lyrics tell the story of a child mourning the loss of a loved one. That loved one is implied to be the parent of the child. This part is sung by this girl, Casey Lee Williams. In the second verse, we hear the late parent's side of the story lamenting the situation that they've left their child in. This part of the song is sung by this woman, Sandy Lee Casey. You connecting the dots here? There's an incredible amount of work that goes into composing a soundtrack, especially in the finer little details. And yet, there are people in this world who still think nothing of it. So why? Why do these composers do what they do and love every second of it? Not everyone can be John Williams and compose melodies and themes that you recognize by the first 3 notes, so why? Well, for some composers, they consider the moviegoers and fans of the series they compose for their audience, and are very grateful for the people who do go out of their way to listen to their music. Because as mentioned in an interview with Kenji Kawai, there are some songs released only in Japan, aired only on TV, and songs not released in CD format. I've heard many songs are available to listen to on YouTube. I'd appreciate it if you tried to do some research and listen to more of my songs. Even if it is just for a small niche fandom, if those fans really do enjoy the music, if they feel what the composers wanted them to feel, then they have succeeded. And for them, That's all they'll ever need. Every musician has a message, and they're willing to share that message with anyone who's willing to listen. Well, that's it for me. This is Fiction Reviews, signing out.